Aloha. All right, it's 1 o'clock in Hawaii. Happy Aloha Friday from Maui. So far, it's looking good. I'm on Instagram and on Facebook. I didn't do a whole lot of special tricks with technology. I'm just on my phone and on my computer. So hope everyone's enjoying your day. These 6 weeks are geared towards bringing in awareness of the self. Hey, Sarah. And what I intend to do this with for this is just to help you get more aware of your feelings, of your thoughts, what you're believing, what's coming through for you, to kind of clear out any old stuff, especially around this fall time of year and holidays. A lot of stuff can come up that's sort of related with past issues. So today is all about self-doubt. And why I wanted to do this is because we all experience self-doubt. So if you have self-doubt, you are not unusual. It is totally common to go into periods of completely doubting the self, doubting what's coming up, doubting your ability to do something. I know I have had my fair share of self-doubt, and I mean, I still go through it. I still was going through the doubt of doing this Facebook Live and Instagram Live and coming through for some sort of being able to get into a mindset of helping others in this public forum. So I love to do one-on-one sessions with individuals and help them in their process for overcoming self-doubt. And I see it a lot with my clients individually on separate issues that are coming up for them. Sometimes it's around work, sometimes it's around doubting themselves as a partner, or doubting their ability to be in relationship with another person, or doubting that they can make a transition that they're really hoping for. So lots of different reasons to doubt the self. And then today we'll just talk about ways to come through self-doubt and how we get out of it. Oftentimes we can't just escape it. We can't just ignore it. It tends to be what we resist, it persists. So it's not necessarily going to just go away if we just ignore it. So a couple things that we'll go over on how to clear out the self-doubt. But first, just a little bit about what does self-doubt look like? How does it manifest in your life? If you'd like to comment about what it looks like for you, please feel free to do so. I'll just kind of go over some ways that I have seen it kind of come up for individuals and for myself, is that we create self-doubt out of past beliefs. Sometimes in childhood, we will create a story for ourselves in order to be able to adapt and survive in a more functional way. And then later on in life, that way of being no longer serves. So the way that we may have functioned before doesn't work anymore. And sometimes that comes across as doubting the self. And there's a number of reasons why it comes up. And the first step to really practice being aware of what the self-doubt is coming from, where it's coming from, is to practice that awareness of the self. So let's start to get aware of ourselves. And maybe if you haven't thought of a way that you've been doubting yourself recently or in the past, this might help a little bit. So even if you're kind of watching the replay on this, you can still do this practice, and it's just a way for us to kind of ground in together. So I like to begin just by rubbing the palms together, building in some heat, starting to feel the friction beneath the palms. Taking a deep breath in through the nose and out the mouth. And slowing down that movement to just press the palms together a lot. Release the shoulder blades down and away, closer together on the back body. You can close your eyes or not. Let's just take 2 more deep breaths in through the nose and out the mouth. Good. 1 more in through the nose and out the mouth. And then gently release the palms. Start to notice that friction that might still be there. Maybe it looks like tingling in the fingertips or the hands. Maybe it feels like warmth. And then just release the hands down on the lap with the palms facing up. And see if that shifted your momentum at all. Perhaps you've been going through your day and it's been non-stop. Go, go, go. And this is that opportunity to slow down and take pause. So that's something that you can practice on a daily, regular basis, many times a day if you'd like. To just ground in, to center yourself, and just become aware of what you're feeling in that moment. Did anything come up for you in this moment that you weren't aware of, or maybe that you were aware of? Because we need to reconnect with ourselves, because self-doubt is about disconnecting. So we've disconnected from ourselves and we no longer understand ourselves. We no longer have clarity of who we are. Sometimes self-doubt comes when we compare ourselves to another person, or we compare ourselves to ourselves even. Maybe we set expectations for ourselves and then we don't meet those expectations. So then we doubt ourselves for even meeting our own needs or being able to get done what we had anticipated to get done. And sometimes when that disconnection happens, then we usually miss out on what our heart is desiring. And we don't meet our own needs, and we're not able to get into a place of trust with the self. So the 2 ways that I mentioned that we'll talk about today about getting through self-doubt is, the first one is about building trust with yourself. And we do that in a lot of different ways. Of course, first is to connect with the self and maybe use that tool of just grounding in, rubbing the palms, taking a few deep breaths and getting to know how you're feeling in a given moment. And then also think about how you know that you trust a friend. How do you know that you can trust someone else? What does that look like? You can type it in the comments if you feel called or feel comfortable to do so. I tend to think that we build trust and we learn how to trust another person through repeated action. Like for me, I appreciate when someone is consistent and what they say is what they do and what they do is what they say. So it's they mean what they say and they do it. And so I can trust another person when there's consistency, let's say. And so then I look to myself and I think, why am I not trusting myself? Why don't I trust what I'm doing in this moment? Why don't I trust what I am capable of? And it's because I've broken trust with myself, because I've broken that idea that being consistent with myself is no longer there. So if I set a goal, for instance, doing a Facebook Live for 6 weeks, and say one day I don't do that, then I've I've broken trust with all of you, and I've broken trust with myself. And so then we start to doubt. I would doubt myself. I'm sure all of you would doubt me if I didn't stay with what I set out to do. And this doesn't necessarily mean that you set a goal to get up at 5 a.m. every morning to get on your mat and do yoga. And then one morning you don't do it. And so then you've completely disastrously broken trust. It doesn't necessarily mean that either, because if you have set this goal for 30 days and then you don't do it one day, then you can kind of take a backtrack to see why didn't I do that? Why didn't I get up on day 5? Maybe I was sick. Maybe I was up late the night before working, or maybe I have a baby and the baby was up all night and I couldn't get up. So there's also moments where we need to bring compassion with ourselves, and that's another way to build trust. And when we are compassionate with the goings on and the happenings in our life, and we can understand within ourselves that there are pieces that are allowed to be there, then we relieve ourselves of any of that distrust or anxiety that comes up from breaking trust. So yeah, let me jump into how we allow the process to happen. So when we decide to do something and then maybe we don't meet those expectations, and then there's a different possibility that comes up, then we also have a duty to allow this process to be. So when we're in a difficult time, or we feel like there's a shift in our emotional state, maybe we are upset or angry, there's a duty that we have for ourselves to just allow the process to be there and not escape or shame ourselves. And if we allow that to be there, and we say that feelings are okay, it's okay to have emotions, it's okay to go into different moods, then we build that trust with ourselves, because we give ourselves the opportunity to feel the feelings. Tara Brach is one of the teachers I really admire, and I listen to her podcast regularly. And one thing she talks about is this acronym RAIN, and it stands for recognize, allow, investigate, and nurture. So when you take those 4 steps in maybe recognizing first the physical body, recognizing what's happening in the body physically in that moment, then you allow it to be there. And really you're just giving yourself that simple recognition, and sometimes that's enough to just let it go. But when you're allowing it to be there, then you can start to investigate and see the process that's happening within you that maybe you were ignoring. And of course, through that investigation, sometimes deeper things can come up that we weren't even aware of. And so then that's where the nurture comes in, and we get to nurture ourselves and feel into what's really going on, and just even saying in your head, it's okay, sweetie, it's okay, you can feel that way, it's okay. And it doesn't have to be going through this process, the RAIN, for any sort of trauma, but just the day-to-day. Sometimes it's just an offering for your day to RAIN, to go into that recognition, allowance, investigation, and nurturing for the self. And then that right there builds trust, because you're showing yourself that you have the capacity to acknowledge what's going on within yourself. And that's also how we can start to build the self-awareness. So I think my my biggest thing that I want you to be aware of for this next week is notice what is going on in your life that you might be breaking trust with yourself. Maybe you can even think about a couple ways that you broke trust with yourself last week. And then this week you can go forward and find ways to build trust with yourself. Sometimes I know life happens and there's work to be done, but you just want to rest. Your body just says, please rest. I just want to lay down. Maybe I just want to watch Netflix for a little while, or maybe I want to just lay down on the couch with silence. So when those times arise that are sort of conflicting in life because there's work to be done, or there's kids to be fed, or something needs to be taken care of, then what I like to do is offer this agreement in myself, or deal. I offer myself a deal, if you want to say it that way. And I tell myself, okay, I just need 10 minutes, and plan on something realistic. So if it's going to take you 30 minutes to make dinner for the kids, but you tell yourself, I just need 10 minutes and that's it, and then you don't take just 10 minutes and you take 30 minutes, then you're setting yourself up for failure in a way. And so if you set yourself up, then you're breaking trust. So set yourself up for success. Set yourself up so that this realistic expectation of, my work is going to take me 1 hour. I just need to do this simple thing for 1 hour. And then after that, we can rest. After that, we as in the collective self, we. So if you know something needs to get done, but you feel like you need to rest, check in with yourself and say, is it okay? I just need 1 hour to get this done, and then I'll go rest. And you make that agreement and you stick to it. And the more that you make those agreements and you stick to it, the more you're building trust with yourself, and the more that self-doubt dissipates and relaxes. And then another way that I was reading an article about building trust, and something she mentioned was just breathing, obviously, breathing with yourself and sitting still for a few moments. I mean, maybe it's not so obvious, but we just naturally, effortlessly breathe. We just naturally, effortlessly pump blood through our system. It all happens. So we don't have to doubt that necessarily. So what we can do then is even deepen the experience to check in with ourselves. So you plant your feet to the floor, you sit for a few moments, you take a few rounds of breath, maybe just through the nose. And a way to calm the nervous system is by taking those inhales and then slowing down the exhalations. And then just put your hand on your heart and feel your heartbeat and feel the breath flowing in and out, just being mindful of what's happening in the body. And then when you do that, you start to get to know that heart space a little bit more, because you've practiced and you've seen what is happening in your heart space at any given moment. The other thing I want to mention, when you follow through with something and you do meet that goal that you set up for yourself, then celebrate yourself for achieving what you set out to do, and celebrate that you maintain trust with yourself, because that's huge. It's really huge. You can celebrate that. Yeah, I think that's all I have about self-trust and building the trust with yourself. If you have any comments, you can make a few comments in the comment box about how you have noticed your ways of building trust with yourself, how you've experienced that, it's sort of this joy that comes up for me when I meet my goal, and I set that expectation and I meet it. So if you have any celebrations that you want to put out, or tell me how you're feeling when you meet your expectations, or when you, I don't want to say expectations, but when you meet your agreement that we discussed, when you agree to do something and then you follow through with it. So how does that feel to follow through for yourself? Especially when it's like a work goal, or it's something that is a creative project that you've really been wanting to do, because we all have creative senses. We all have this creative center in us that really needs to be expressed. So when you listen to that creative center and then you go forth and you create, that can feel really good. That can feel really amazing. Not just because you've created this awesome thing that you set out to create, but you've also followed through and built that trust with yourself. So the last way, the second thing to think about, we're trying to come through that self-doubt. Usually self-doubt comes from a lot of different things, as I mentioned before, but sometimes it can come up just from questioning the self. Like in college, I would go through moments where I wasn't sure if I should turn left or I should turn right. I would question everything I was doing, from going to class, which class I should take, how I should go about my day, what should I be eating. I would just be questioning and then doubting myself for doing anything. So a suggestion that came up, and something that I continue to practice and teach, is that loving kindness meditation. When we're questioning ourselves, it's because we're really not loving ourselves. It's because we're getting into a place of shame and worry, and that all coincides with self-doubt. So that loving kindness meditation, I think what I want to do is experience it a little bit. We have about 4 minutes, and maybe we'll just go through an experiential activity with the loving kindness meditation. So doing that same breath of just calming yourself down, maybe placing your hands on your heart, and as you breathe in through the nose, bring it all the way down into the belly and expand into the sides bodies, lifting the crown. And then as you exhale, release the breath slowly out the lungs, out the belly. Draw the belly button in towards the spine, and slowly out the nose. And then what you want to start to do first, before you look at the self, is actually bring into your mind someone or an animal that you love completely. No question about it. It's unconditional love. You experience this overwhelming sense of joy and complete, easeful love. And when you think about that person, you bring in the person or that animal, you bring in to yourself what that feels like to experience that love. And you send them out that love, and you send them out that kindness. And now you know what it feels like, and now you have that within you. And so what you do then is you turn that around and you bring that love and kindness to yourself. And you embody it. You feel it completely, all the way to your toes, all the way to your fingertips. And you offer yourself that love and kindness for being you, just as you are. And you take a deep breath and you soak it up. You can release the hands. So feel free to experience that as much as you'd like. I know there are guided meditations that can take you through a loving kindness meditation. You just Google it or look on your favorite podcast There's also apps for meditations. So, yeah, I have a challenge for you. For this week, as I had mentioned, thinking about what you might have experienced last week, how you might have broken trust with yourself, or how you had set up some goals for yourself and then didn't maybe meet those goals or the agreements that you had. Think about how you want to set forth this week to agree with yourself with a realistic expectation or intention. I like to call it intention more than expectation, because having an intention is an opportunity for you to allow it to unfold however it is. Have no control over it. It just happens. If you have an expectation, sometimes having that expectation limits the availability of how it can unfold and how it will happen. So go forth with your week intending on ways to build trust with yourself, whatever that looks like. I need a drink of water. I'm going to get a drink of water. I just know that I'm going to drink of water. So simple as that. I built trust with myself because I met that need. So once you have done a few things for yourself this week, write down 3 ways that you answered your own calling, or how you met your own needs one day this week. And then take a picture of it. If you feel comfortable, you can take a picture of the one thing that you did for yourself and congratulate yourself. This is a way to celebrate as well. And then post it and tag me up at Reflective Healing on Facebook or Instagram or both. And then use the hashtag building trust. So building trust. And then hashtag self-awareness live. And I'll put those in the comments so that you have those available to you. And remember, if you complete all 6 challenges over the course of this 6 weeks, then you will be entered in for a drawing for a special essential oils. So I look forward to seeing all of your ways that you have answered your own calling and your own needs. If you have any questions or you'd like to know more about my practices, please send me a message. I look forward to connecting. Aloha.